available to provide some more background in terms of the particulars of the program. So with that, and then also too, we have representative from Limebike available here, and it looks like they may have brought one of their bikes to demonstrate to council of what we're talking about with this new technology. So with that, Gary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Gary Heap. I am the City Engineer and Transportation Engineer for Gilroy. Glad to be here in front of you this evening. We have Limebike in front of us this evening for discussion and hopefully adoption of an agreement. Started back a number of months ago where the BPAC reached out to us, introduced Limebike to the city and their interest in bringing their bicycles to our community. We coordinated our meetings with Limebike and had an initial discussion with them in December. We brought then Limebike and the presentation from some of their staffing to our BPAC in January, where it was received with pretty high regards. Since then, we've done our due diligence and checked with other cities who have Limebike, including Burlingame, which recently adopted the program under a 6-month pilot as well. And based on that, developed an agreement that you have before you this evening with your staff report. We also have included some performance indicators in the agreement, including app performance and usability, distribution or rebalancing of the bikes, repositioning of those bikes again, data sharing, and cost recovery should the city need to interact or reposition bikes on behalf of Limebike. And with that, staff is recommending, based on the BPAC's recommendation, to approve the agreement for the 6-month pilot program. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have. We also, as City Administrator indicated, we have E.B. Ellington in the back there. She is the Senior Operations Manager with Limebike. She has or can answer any questions that might come up, and she also has a bike if you're so interested in taking a look at that.
Great, thank you so much. Councilmember Tucker, followed by Councilmember Tovar.
Yes, thank you. Actually, this has come up many times, so I'm familiar, but I'm not sure that the public is familiar, so I would like to see if you or your representative could kind of quickly walk through how the program would work. Absolutely. And maybe bring the bike up so people can see on TV.
Absolutely.
Just because even although it's been explained to me probably 2 or 3 times, I still I have the concept, but I don't know how it's exactly going to be, how it's going to execute, right? So that's kind of what if you can walk us through that.
Absolutely.
I think the first step is getting Councilmember Tucker on the bike.
Did you bring your helmet?
I love bikes.
So we certainly have the bike here as it's being wheeled forward. Let me talk to you about our deployment strategy. So Limebike is proposing to start off with 200 to 300 bikes throughout the community. We have identified some public locations and some private locations. There is a requirement if Limebike is to be locating these bikes on private property to get a letter or some documentation of support from that private property owner and to have them submit that to the city prior to those bikes being deployed. But as soon as this agreement is executed on both sides, we plan on working with our outreach specialist here, our PIO, getting the information out, putting it on the website, linking it, and then working with Limebike to deploy those bicycles in appropriate locations.
Okay, I think what I was trying to say is, as the person who's going to go use the bike, how do you do that?
Times while she was
So you go in, you put your credit card in, or what do? You put quarters in? What do you do?
So you walk up to the bike right here. You take your smartphone out, and you can scan the QR code that's on the bike. There's one on the rear wheel as well as on the handlebars here. And I'll take you to the App Store or Google Play Store. You download our app, and we require an email verification as well as a credit card verification. And your first ride is free. And so what basically you do is you unlock the bike via the app. This lock in the rear will open, and it will sing a little jingle letting you know that your ride is ready to begin. And you ride it to where you want, and you park it in a legal, not in a public right of way. And when you're done, you take the red button on the lock and you slide it to lock it, and then your ride ends.
And somebody comes and picks it up and takes it back?
Yes. So we have a team of field operations specialists who rebalance the bikes to designated locations.
That's what I never quite get. So somebody does do that. Okay.
So, Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you. Gary, I actually have a few questions, so, or either one of you. Just sort of reading the report, it talks about the different locations, possible locations. And I just want to make sure that we have representation in all sectors of the city. So again, east side, west side, I mean, it's throughout the city, not just in one area. I want to make sure that's going to happen.
Absolutely. So we've been working with Limebike over the last couple of weeks to try and position them in fair locations, like you say, equally dispersed about the city. One of the things that they have said is this might be good as a starting location, but really they're going to be looking at the distribution and the usage of the bikes. And so as those bikes over the next month or two start ending up in higher locations and densities, then we could designate some of those as specific hubs, if you will, designate them with signage or markings if need be. We know pretty much offhand that there will be a few that we will want to dedicate, the train station being one, the downtown being another, but some of those others might move around based on usage.
Yeah, because I think of sort of some of the areas where close to some of the schools, because again, obviously there might be school-age kids who that's their only way of transportation, given that the school district is cutting busing, quite a bit. So I just want to make sure that that those individuals have access to that as well. Absolutely. And as Mr. Hilton knows, I'm a huge supporter of this, but I just want to make sure I ask several questions that are been sticking on my mind. So in regards to response time, so if bikes are left in areas, unwanted areas, who's responsible for picking up those bicycles, and sort of what's the response time? So let's say somebody leaves it by my house and I don't want it there. Am I supposed to call the city, or am I calling Limebike? No, I want to hear it from you.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah, either. Yeah.
So there is a number and contact information on the bicycle itself. What we're being told as city staff is that the bikes will be positioned at a minimum every 3 days, where they will be wiped down and they will be brought back to a central hub location or a location of high use. What's nice about Limebike is you can take the bike from the train station right at home, leave it in the front yard, and then somebody else can look on the app, find the bike, go to your front yard, pick it up, and take it somewhere else. And so there are no hubs, there are no stations where these things have to be end uses or be docked. And so it's really a free-flowing system.
Then my next question is in regards to sort of liability. If somebody were to be injured using the bicycle, or there was some property that was damaged due to the bicycle, who's responsible for that?
The agreement has been written as such and vetted by our attorney's office that the city holds no responsibility or liability for that. That is solely with the responsible of Limebike.
Perfect. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Leroy Munoz.
Councilmember Tovar, this week it was you looking over my notes because I was going to bring up that point about the indemnification clause. So as an attorney, I always think about that, but it's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. Two questions of mine that I have. First, what other cities in Silicon Valley have Limebike?
So we were really hoping to be the first in Santa Clara County, but I saw a news report just last night that San Jose has now implemented Limebike. They have Lime scooters on their campus, and they also have electric vehicles throughout the city at various locations as well. And I could let Evie discuss more about that.
Well, actually, our San Jose is not pedal bikes. It's just e-assist bikes and scooters right now. So this would be the first official city in Santa Clara County to have pedal bikes. Right now, we also operate in South San Francisco, Burlingame, and we will be launching in Palo Alto and Mountain View come April.
Okay, very good. And the reason I ask that question is because I want to try to understand more as a business, as a company that's outside of Gilroy. Why did you pick us?
Because it's a city that could use more transportation options for the youth. And we want to complete that last mile, right? When you're commuting or taking Caltrain or the VTA, the ability to have a fun way of transit and, one that's maybe healthy and fits into your lifestyle. You don't have to drive your car or take the bus. And it's affordable. It's $1 to rent a Limebike for 30 minutes, and it's 50 cents if you are a student.
Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I'm glad. First off, I love the idea. I'm a big supporter, and I'm glad to see that we are the first, that we are able to kind of roll out an innovative project like this. And I asked that question about why us, because again, it's helpful for me to know from the perspective of outside companies why they're coming here. That gives us a better sense for what makes us uniquely special as to why we're the first. So thank you for that insight. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Harney.
Yes, thank you. I know there's been a lot of work by the Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission putting this together along. I think, Gary, this is probably one of your first projects, and we sat in numerous conference calls to hash some of these things out and flesh them out. One of the questions that I didn't ask, and that I'll ask Limebike here, that since they're here, is suppose I want to use public transportation. I want to get on Caltrain, and I ride the bike from the location right by South Valley Middle School or from San Ysidro Park, and I take it to the train station, and I lock it up, but I bring it on the train with me because I'm going to San Francisco, and now I want to have a bike when I arrive in San Francisco. Is that a permitted use? How?
It is not a permitted use. It's a
good idea, though. Huh?
People do it. People take them on BART. I've seen them on BART. My coworkers have as well. Because of limited bike space on a Caltrain, we really recommend our customers to lock the bike. And when you get out on the other side, there is bike share and hopefully Limebike at every stop. So that's really the end goal. So you don't have to worry about it or stress out about it or deal with the hassle of getting it on and off the train.
Great. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you. One last question, sorry. And I know this is a pilot program for 6 months. And my hope is that this is really going to catch on here in Gilroy and it'd be a new way of transportation. But at the end of those 6 months, what's going to be a success on your part to be able to say, we're staying in Gilroy, we're going to bring more than 200 or 300 bikes out there, we plan on being out there for the long haul. What does that look like? What does a successful pilot program look like?
The way we measure success is not monetarily as much as we have a goal of getting rides. If people here in Gilroy are still excited at the end of 6 months about Limebike and there's a demonstrated use, that is how we measure success.
So I guess I'm going to challenge each council member that next council meeting, we're all going to ride our Lime bikes to the meeting, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Blankley. Yes.
I just wanted to say it's good you don't let people take it on Caltrain, because my son did that with my bike, and it was never seen again. So he did not get it off the train when he got to his destination. So.
All right. I just had a couple of questions that I wanted to follow up on. You had said it's $1 for the first half hour, and then is there a charge after that? Is it a flat fee, or is it per mile, or how does that work?
It's $1 for every 30 minutes.
It's $1 for every 30 minutes. Okay. And if a bike gets left off somewhere, if a person were to call that phone number that's on there and say, hey, there's this unwanted bike here, does someone come out immediately and pick it up, or does it have to stay there for 24 hours before it gets picked up?
Currently, the agreement is there's a 2-hour turnaround time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 8. We have a team we get a CSR ticket, and their whole job is to respond to those and go pick them up immediately.
Okay.
And they work, I have people on 7 days a week, from 5 a.m. till 3 a.m.
Okay. And then I was really trying to, like Councilmember Tucker, really trying to understand this concept, because in San Jose, I see the stations of bikes, and, occasionally I'll see somebody go over and check one out. But this concept sounds like the bikes are pre-positioned, they're physically locked somehow. Unless you enter that information, the bike is not going to roll away. But what's preventing the person from picking it up and carrying it away, at least initially?
There's an alarm on the bike. They're also about 40 8 pounds, and we have GPS on all of the bikes. So if someone does pick it up and the alarm has been set off, we will go check on that bike.
Okay. And then, Gary, I guess at the end of the 6 months, how do we, I mean, there's a lot of support for this, and I want to thank Zach and the Bicycle Commission and you for kind of flushing this out and, bringing it before the council. But if it's not successful here, how does the council get a report back on this?
So we've set up some pretty clear performance measures in here. And so what we're going to be doing as staff is tracking on those. What is the response times? What are we doing in terms of bike usage? If we as a city are calling, are we getting responses in a timely manner? If we are satisfied with that, the agreement does allow for us through mutual agreement on either side to go ahead and extend the agreement. And so that would be a signature by the city administrator, the signature by Limebike, and we could go ahead and extend that for a year or whatever that period is intended to be. If we feel it is unsuccessful, we will bring this back to the city council for discussion.
Perfect. Okay. I think that's it. Council, any other questions? Councilmember Harney.
Yeah, just one last question. When is I know there's no commence date in the 6-month contract here that we have, but what's the deployment strategy and how soon can this start?
So we are hoping to have the agreement signed in the next couple days. They've still got to provide the city insurance, get a business license, and then if they are going to be locating on any private property, such as working with Caltrain or the UP to put them at the train station, they need to get us documents in writing. In terms of the public right-of-way, as soon as the agreement and the insurance and the business license are taken care of, they will give them the green light and they can start bringing them in. So I would anticipate, because they have seemed very interested, we could potentially see bikes as early as this week or next week.
Gary, have the locations downtown been identified as to where they might initially stage the bikes?
Not yet. What we'll be doing is looking at some of the open spaces at the corners where we have plaza areas or open space, probably not in areas that are close to the businesses, the doors, those types of things, positioning them, though, equally throughout the downtown. I think we've got 30 bikes identified initially for that deployment in the downtown.
And as much as we want to promote rideability, we don't want to forget about the walkability. And so we don't want to be blocking any sidewalk paths or anything. Okay. All right.
Mayor, I have one last question. I'm sorry. In regards to instructions, signage for instructions, if somebody's going to use this for the first time, will that be both in English and Spanish?
Yes, we have our app and our website, English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Cantonese, and we're working on getting it in Vietnamese as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Let me jump back here to the agenda. Public comment. Is there anybody from the public that wants to speak on this item?
Zachary Hilton.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and public. So this bike share program frees up cars from local roads while reducing greenhouse gas emissions and our carbon footprint in Santa Clara County. Bike share provides alternative ways for our residents to access mass transit, shop at local businesses, restaurants, maintain a healthy lifestyle, and solve that first mile, last mile of public transit. A citywide dockless bike share creates equity throughout the city by allowing residents from across all neighborhoods to enjoy Gilroy, and that goes exactly for what you were talking about. It will boost local economic development and tourism by providing an attractive and inexpensive form of transportation while making the connections of districts easier. This citywide program supports our goals as we grow as a community and raise free-range children. The City of Gilroy Bicycle Pedestrian Commission recommended approval on January 23rd with a 5-0 vote. Just like you heard a second ago, Gilroy has a chance to be the first city in Santa Clara County to offer Limebike citywide dockless bike share. Gavilan College is right behind us too. I've been on a couple of their meetings so far, and right as we started in January 23rd, they picked it up right there and started going through all their committees. And they're going to be marrying and trying to launch at the same time we do, because having them a part of this is very, very essential. And I also want to say too that this is a kudos to show that you should be proud of how we all came together to bring this opportunity in front of you tonight. It's a great example of an opportunity that Limebike is offering the city, how city staff, commissions, stakeholders, and even some of the city council that were involved in those initial conference calls can all come together and not let this opportunity pass us by. So you have many partners that are here to make this program successful, including your Bicycle Pedestrian Commission, and just wanted to let you know that you have our support.
Thank you so much, Zach. Okay, anybody else, Shauna? Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Harney, seconded by Councilmember Tovar, to approve the agreement with Limebike and authorize the city administrator to execute the agreement. Please vote. And that motion passes unanimously on a 7-0 vote. Congratulations to Limebike. Thank you, Zach. Next item up is the fiscal year 2017 audit and comprehensive